store we're going to put there. But let me tell you what we will do. Because of your emphasis on education and what's taking place, we will give you $500,000. $500,000. And we will allow you to place it anywhere you want to place it. Okay? You got 500, put it wherever you want to put it. I elected to give that 500,000 to Lone Star as scholarships for kids to attend Lone Star Community College. And a number of kids have utilized that money, going to the school, now have trades, and are out there working in a very productive sense. The point is, one leads to something else. That leads to something else. And we really need to keep that going, not just on the north side, on the east side, south side, west side. It can happen, but you have to see beyond what's presently in front of you, and then you have to work in collaboration with others to make it happen. So, thanks for the question. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Pamela Jones. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm a foster mother. And I see the very beginning of destruction. The kids come into my home. I got into it to help the kids. They come into my home hard, real hard work. They don't respect authority at all. I have a 9-year-old. I've had him for 9 months. I have not touched his heart yet because the things that he has seen, all the activities. Mom has 9 kids, 9 different fathers, and that's what the problem is right there. We need to, I don't know the answer. I'm trying to help, real small, but the problem is that's the beginning of the problem. And if we don't reach these kids, he's 9 now. The little ones I can reach at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By 5 years old, their heart is so hard till you can't touch it. I can't get him to apologize. I let him watch the news and see everything that's happening to our young brothers and sisters on the TV. You know what his response was? I would punch him in the face. That's authority. I'm trying to teach him to respect authority. You don't even respect me. And I beat him every day. So I think that, I don't know the answer, but I know that we need to start right where the mothers are having these children. Not wait till they get grown and put them in jail. That's too much money and a waste of time. I've had, this is not my first set, but the sets that I have had, nobody can take away what I have given them. I have turned their life around. They know how to dress now. They know how to talk. They know how to love themselves. If you don't teach them to love themselves, you'd have lost them. So building these parts and all this stuff, you'd already lost them. You have to get them from birth to 5 years old. That's what we have to get these kids. All these jails, police, and all that stuff, that's just a waste of money. Let's get these kids now. Let's educate these drug addicted mothers from having, the average number of babies they have is 5 to 10. 10 different daddies.
Let me respond to that. You are painting a picture of real-time situations that are occurring not only in this city, but all over. And so it's real. I will say to you this. I think we do fully need to recognize
I've gotten some Google things you posted.
where people are. I would say to you, number 2, no one individual can do it all. It does take a collective effort to make it happen. Thirdly, I will say to you, and it takes all of what we are doing and more. And it is a struggle, it's a battle. I think what's important for a person like me that's seeking your vote to run for mayor, not only must I talk about the things that are fundamental, the infrastructure, the financial integrity of the city, rebuilding the city, but I also think it's important for me to tell my own story. Because I think kids need to see, I don't care how young they are or how old, they need to see that I just didn't come out the womb being perfect. Okay? They need to know my story.
Yes.
Okay? And I think what I have learned is that when we allow ourselves to be more open, okay, you never know whose life you will touch. What I can say, and I would love to meet your kid. What I would say to them, and what I've said throughout this campaign trail, I am proud of where I was born and raised. All right, okay? I'm proud of where I was born and raised. I was born and raised right here in this community, Acres Home. When I'm at the Florida, Texas Capitol, they can tell you where I'm from. And they will tell you that I was born and raised in Acres Home. I don't mind telling folks coming out of a large family of 9 and 2 bedrooms. And there are folk here who know our story. Okay?
So did I. My mother had 14 kids.
But what I'm saying is that sometimes kids, we may think they're not hearing or listening, but they are. Okay? And the point that I'm making is that when you have a forum like I do, like now, and what I'm seeking, kids need to hear our story. They need to know that, for example, how we struggle. Okay? And what I say to kids, look, no excuses. Now we can go tit for tat. Okay? And then you gotta fight for them. And even though they may appear to be rough on the outside with a hard exterior, I think they are challenging us to get beyond that roughness. I think they're challenging us. So I hear what he's saying. I hear what you're saying he's saying. But at the same time, I think we have to be even more determined to win him over. And I think we can do it. But we're not just going to have to be able to do it just in words. They've got to see that in our actions. They've got to see a mayor of the city of Houston that doesn't mind walking up and down their street or going to their homes. They got to see. Let me give you one example that to me just played over and over again. I was pumping my gas at Little York and TC Justice. I did have on a suit and everything. Quite frankly, I just got from my house and I was in a hurry, so I said, let me make this quick run up here. So, if you probably see me, you probably say, nah, I know that ain't him. I was just in a hurry. And so I went up the street, I was pumping my gas, had my little cap on, and he was in the car. So I saw this young guy, he kept looking at me. I said, oh God. So he kept looking. He walked a little bit, turned around, and then he decided to come back. And so he came over, and I said, okay, now let me get ready to deal with this. So he said, say, dude, what's your name? So I said, Sylvester. He said, what's your blood name? I said, Sylvester Turner. He said, you're not that turn on that part, right? So I said, you looking at it. So he said, what you doing on this side of town? and Pastor, excuse me, I said, what the hell you mean? I said, what the hell you mean? Why am I doing on this side of town? He said, well, why are you over here? I said, man, I live right over there. He said, you live out here? I said, man, I live right down the street. I live right down the street. I was born and raised out here. I still live. And he said, hey man, that's cool. And then he shook my hand and bumped a little bit. And I said, but let me tell you. I said, I'm running for mayor, and I need your help. He said, hey man, you got me. He said, you got me. The point that I want to make, oftentimes as leaders, we disconnect from the folk that we really need to impress them. Okay? It's one thing to be someplace else and telling them to do something else.
Yeah. They have to
But it's another thing for you to be right where they are, where they can touch you, see you at all different levels. And you can say to them, life isn't fair.
That's right.
But you got to learn how to navigate through it. Our kids, all of our kids, need us to fight for them. Even when they say no, they want us to fight for them. And so I don't care how hard he may be, he becomes then our challenge. Okay? I don't care how much you try to push us away. We got to push into their space. Okay? And the last example, because I think it's so important what you're saying, because we got to fight for our children. The last example, in coming through school, Garfield Elementary, Miss Hall. I was a second grade student. I would come in, and she would stand outside the door, and Miss Hall liked to hug you and all that good stuff. And I hated that. I just hated that. And she would hug you. She would hug you. And I just pushed her away. I don't want all that. And then you go in and sit down to meet. She calling you to meet. I didn't want to do all of that. But let me tell you, one day, standing outside, I was coming in, and she did not reach the hug. Okay? And I walked into the classroom. I never forget it. I walked into the classroom, and I was mad. Now, this is the same kid that pushed her away. But the reality is, though I pushed her away, I love the fact she was reaching for me. Okay? Our kids, even in 2015, are just like that. In many cases, they in a sense, push us away. But they also want us to reach for them. As mayor of the city of Houston, if I don't do anything else, I promise you, I will reach for our kids. And I will not just allow them to push us away and then we go away. Okay? This is a battle we can win. But we've got to do it collectively. All of us have to be in it. We have to tell our story. But I refuse to lose one kid because we did not fight for that child. Yes, ma'am.
My name is May Johnson.
Miss Johnson, now you know we know you.
Yeah. But I stay on St. Clair. Okay. I come down here to the center all the time, and I come down Knox, and then go straight home down Knox. The prostitution down there has gotten that bad. And I had to fence my whole total front of my property because I could not sit on my front porch because they would come up in the yard, beg me for money. And me, I'm handicapped and disabled, been that way since 1997. All right, I couldn't go out to my mailbox. I couldn't go up to the gas station down Decrease, the Phillips 66 on the corner of St. Clair and get gas. That was the closest place because of all of the stuff that's up there around that store. And I would like to see something done about that prostitution. The reason why I fenced my property in, I could be out in my garage doing my laundry and turn around and somebody was in my garage on me, I didn't hear them, begging me for money. Come up in my yard, stole all my plants off my porch and this sort of thing. And I'm sitting in the living room one day and I see a shadow come across my porch and then I hear my doorknob being turned. I had to get me a storm door put up there on my house.
And let me me just say, and that's a very important concern. We talked about youth on one end, on the other end, protecting our seniors. Okay? And prostitution is a problem. We started off talking about policing and the tension between the two, but a part of that community policing is dealing with those issues that directly impact certain communities. And in this area, no similar, prostitution is a very real one, and that's why community policing and working with community folks to clean it up. Now, I will tell you something else, even when you remove them, sometimes they come right back. But in the legislature, I will tell you, and this is, you know, one of the bills that we passed in the last legislative session, mine, you know, we have set up prostitution court. And what that means is that it's a way of changing people's lives. It's not just about throwing them in jail, but it's like providing them with the tools and the resources they need to change their lives. So, I mean, in the end, you can remove people off the street. But if you don't provide them with the tools for a better life, then they come right back.
That's right.
So in addition to working with police, we also have to work with them to change their lives, to give them something else to do, to introduce them to a new world, okay? And we're providing those type of resources to address that problem. But in the bigger sense, as we have our children that are very vulnerable and trying to find their way, okay? We also have seniors who have spent their time, their lives working in our communities that we must protect. And I will tell you, you will have no better champion in protecting seniors than myself. I've done it for 26 years. Seniors are near and dear to me. And on the north side of this community, there are many seniors, and seniors who are right here at the Acres Home Health Service Center every single week. So I want to make sure, if nothing else, that we make sure that we keep you safe, okay? And all seniors that are similarly situated. I will say this for seniors that are present. In this legislative session, in the past two sessions, I have championed on people's electricity bills, primarily for seniors and low-income persons. Last summer, the discount on people's electricity bill was right at 80%. Last summer. In this session, legislative session, I want you to know that we've set aside another $350 million to provide a discount to seniors on their electricity bill. So this summer, between May and September, there's going to be a discount on seniors' electricity bill. It could be anywhere up to 20%. So next summer, between May and September, that discount will probably be about 30 to 35%.
Wow. That's
This is for as long as you signed up, light up, you can check with my staff. But it's for seniors in particular and low-income persons making 125% of the federal poverty level. The point is, you know, we want to provide the safety net for our seniors. That's critically important. I'll champion that, and if you give me an opportunity to be your mayor, I will champion to make sure that you're safe right there in your home, in your neighborhood. Okay? And now I'll come back to you. I haven't got you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Elaine White. I can't vote for you, but I can support you.
You got some time to move in.
I will be walking at 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
We're asking the question to him, and this is what the session is for us, for everybody to ask the question. But we know who Sylvester Turner is. We have dealt with him, and he's fought for not just Acres Home, but every area that he's over. I am a alumni of Booker T. Washington. A couple of years ago, I know you all saw on the news about them trying to close us down.
Yes.
He didn't come here. He didn't come to Booker T. Washington with just running his mouth and no substance to it. Second meeting, he brought some money with him. Come on. And you know, it's one thing to talk about what you're gonna do verbally and don't do nothing. All you gotta do is just talk. Yeah. But the man came with some money with him. And he didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. Yeah. So we know what he is all about. You know that, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope I hope that this election is not about Hispanics versus blacks. But this is going to be a very difficult campaign because first Hispanic mayor versus a black mayor. Those other people, Mr. Hall, he ain't going nowhere. But we need to get out here. You all need to get out here and do your job. Last year, we had the opportunity to control what was going on in Washington, D.C. Our U.S. congressmen and stuff like that. We didn't get out there and vote. Republicans took over the House. They took over the Senate. And it was because we did not get out and vote. You can't talk about what's going on if you're not going to get out there and vote. All the questions that we're all asking, that's good and that. You know who this man is.
Yes.
Do not let you do that. I don't care if it's raining, snowing, or whatever. Get out and vote for him because you know he's gonna fight for you.
Yes.
That's right.
When I see him, I'm happy all over because I love my school, Booker T. Washington. Yay! Like I said, don't just ask these questions. Y'all get out there and walk and get there and vote for him.
Very good.
You know, he's an honest man, he's a Christian man. And he doesn't say things that he doesn't put into action. Okay? So I hope, I'm going to look and see how many of you are going to vote. Because, seriously, if you think that the other candidate or candidate's going to do something for you versus him, something is wrong with us in this room or in this city. That's right.
And I thank you for that. I appreciate that. Look, this is a great city. It is the most diverse city in the country. More than New York. It is the most diverse city in the country. What is important is that we work to pull us all together. Because diversity doesn't mean anything unless it's welcome. And everybody wants to feel like they have a seat at the table. Everybody wants to be seen, and everybody wants to be heard. The other part is that this is a nonpartisan race.
Yes.
And so I want everybody, you know, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, you name it, to come to the table. Because the reality is that when you look at traffic, you know, it's not Democratic traffic or Republican traffic. And when your car run over a pothole, and then you get a flat tire, you're not going to say, damn, that Republican pothole. It's just a pothole. Okay? And if the city's not run with financial integrity, you're not going to say, oh, there they go again. It becomes a problem shared by us. And the beauty of things is that when we do that, when we see each other as one big family, it works. And coming out of a household of 9, my parents always reminded us we were all 9 different kids.
Yes.
We were 9 different kids, different personalities, different gifts, different talents. But one thing they said before we left the house, 9 kids, but when you leave out this house, you all turn. When you come back, you are still turning. Regardless of where you live in this city, regardless of where you live, we're all Houstonians. And I just want us to be proud of being Houstonians and to be bullish on Houston. And if we can do that, we've already won. If we can't do that, then regardless of what anybody says, we fail. I believe we can win, and I believe we love this city, and now we got to show the world how Houston does it. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then is the Congresswoman on her way? Will you tell her to take the train and come on?
My name is Rachel Green, and I teach here at the school.
talked about the children, and I like what you said about being able to go to a shopping house or walk down the house. My thing is it's very disheartening. Let's say teaching 3rd and 4th grade, and you have kids who, and I'm not talking about special ed.
Right.
But you have kids with so many social and emotional issues that you have to try to deal with that before they're in a mode to even receive it.
Right.
And so it's very disheartening when it looks like you don't have the necessary resources. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about the school district. You don't have the necessary resources to service this child. And so it's like kids are being set up for failure. Now, research, I mean, this has been way 10 years ago, more than 10 years maybe, that jails and prisons are built based on the number of African American students or boys who are behind reading level. So if you come to me in the 3rd grade and you can't read, or you can't, I'll say something simple as 6 plus 11, you can't add. And I know schools get money based on, you know, the amount of taxes or revenue that they generate. And so some schools don't have.
Right.
But like you said, it's about the kids.
Right.
And it spirals down to what this lady said, how hard they become and how hopeless they become. And I'm just gonna say, I just have to wonder, how does a kid get to me in the 3rd grade and you can't read on a 1st grade level?
And I think that, number one, I know that's a very important question. Let me say to you what, in my experience, what I think the city of Houston needs to do, even as it relates to education. I'm not seeking to be the superintendent of HISD or Klein or RD. But I am seeking to champion this city. And you really can't have a city that's growing and booming, and people are coming from all over the globe, and the economy is moving in one direction, and your educational system is moving in another. Amen. They have to be moving in the same direction. Now, I will tell you, in my 26 years in the legislature, I have never had, let's say, someone from the city of Houston or their lobby team come to me in the legislature and say, push for more school funding. We need more school funding. We need you all to support these schools. Well, the school system and the city of Houston's interests are not mutually exclusive. As go the schools, so will go the city. One of the things as mayor of the city of Houston, understanding how the legislative process works, and that's where most of the funding comes from, is that issue has to be on the agenda for the city of Houston. So when the city of Houston is sending its lobby team, and it has a strong lobby team, send this lobby team to Austin, they have to advocate for our schools. They have to champion that. They have to tell legislators this is important to the city. You can't simply ignore that. So that's an important component. The other thing is that the mayor has to sit down and talk with the superintendent. Because the way that once you get the money from Austin and it comes to the school district, then the school district, the superintendent and the board decide how the money will be divvied up. Right. And so if you have a school and you lose in population, that school district then reduces the amount of money going to that particular school. And the schools, in many ways, that need the money the most are receiving the least. And so it becomes a double-edged sword, so to speak, working against them. And you have to sit down and talk to the school superintendent and say, wait a minute, let's make sure that we're all on the same page. Because if you start closing and consolidating schools in a community, you end up adversely impacting that community. A community cannot survive very long without quality schools in their neighborhood. Hold on 1 second, because Laura, I do want you to chime in.
Yeah, and one thing also, the
Florida Robinson too.
Hi again, I'm Lori Robinson. Sylvester, one thing that of greatest concern, I'm a small business owner, and I would love to be able to have interns, paid interns, to do that. And it's just very difficult as a small business owner. I know the city had a program where they would have hire people, children, teenagers in the summer for works program. Is there any way we could just put aside, or when you become mayor, put some money aside to start doing that and get all the small businesses, minority, all the small businesses together so we could have some type of program to, because it would benefit us,
Right.
and then it would train our students also.
And I think, and that is a critical component. And again, you got to bring those resources to the table. Businesses, corporations, who I think would gladly do it if we simply ask.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we've got to tackle this on many, many different levels. You spoke about it in the back. You spoke about the kid that's being resistant to influence. You're speaking about kids that are coming to you at the third grade level, not reading or functioning on a third grade level. And what I would say to you, there's nothing inherently wrong with our children that we cannot fix. Okay? I'm not unique. Sandra, Leonard Smith, them here, them right here. We're not unique. Ethel Harrison, we all grew up together, who's now teaching in the school system, being a nurse, and I've listened to Ethel talk about the kids that she's having to deal with. And I've listened to her, how she's going and utilized her own resources to take care of those kids. And then how she's tapped the rest of us to take care of those kids. So we have dedicated people in the system, okay? But no one person, no one group can win this battle by him or herself. This is a collective battle. And collectively, we can win it. Now, we have the resources, but they're siloed all over the place. Now we got to bring those resources together and design a plan that's comprehensive that can make a meaningful difference. I hear what you're saying, but if given the opportunity, I certainly would like to take the opportunity to sit down and talk with the superintendents in our region, talk with legislators, talk with other members of city council, and let's design a comprehensive plan to save all of our children. Then by chance, if we, and you can't, won't be able to save everyone, but let us not be indicted for not doing our part. Okay? And then we have to encourage parents to be parents. Let me just say this. When you come out of a family of 9, and neither one of my parents graduated from high school, but my parents ran 3005 Starling Drive. Okay? They knew everything that was going on at 3005 Starling. They said, we're sending you to school to learn. And they were parents in every sense of the word. There is nothing that I will be able to do as your mayor. There is nothing people can do as city council, Lord being there and others, that can substitute for parents being parents. And then lastly on this note, you may not have liked the way the mother responded to that kid in Baltimore. Let me just say that it may not have been the best parenting tool. But her son, and what got me, what the point that I noted, is that the son recognized the mother's voice. Even before seeing her. He said, I recognize her voice. And she recognized her son. Even though he had the... And so, I just one city thing. Parents got to do their part, school district got to do their part, city has to do its part, and when we work collectively, we can make things happen. I think we've missed our way because everyone is being territorial. Everybody's just trying to do his or her own thing. And it just doesn't work with maximum efficiency. Okay? And then everybody's focusing on their little special interest. You know, if it's good for the city, if it's good for your family, it's good for me. I just want the city to work. And I want it to work well. One last comment, and then they tell me I must head to the. I was waiting on the congresswoman, but she must be in Iraq. I got it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Karen, and
Hi, Karen.
how are you? And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I live off of 59 North. That's Scenic Wood and Fontaine is our city.
That's where my brother is, Scenic Woods.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, what I would like to see from that, for our part in the city is that we deal with a lot of trash. And I understand we have a lot of people that don't appreciate the value of cleanliness.
Right.
I understand that. I mean, it's like a big tree, it's not gonna go anywhere. But is there a way of what can we do as far as utilizing some of, like you said, thinking outside the box? What are some of the ways that we could actually keep that area clean? Like, for instance, we only get one heavy trash pickup per month. So, and I know this, I'm sure everybody is aware of Homestead. They did a wonderful job coming out and picking up last Tuesday. And that Tuesday afternoon, I saw Homestead, a whole lot of stuff like that. So is there,
What's the plan to deal with it?
yeah, what's our plan? And then the second part is, we also have a lot of wonderful people that have been criminalized and have backgrounds that like to, you know, to hang out in our communities, because that's where Mama is. I understand that. How can we utilize those people that have nothing to do to help with the trash that's over there? What kind of funds could we set up to where, since that's,
Let me address the
okay, thank you,
Let me
sir.
address the last one first.
Okay.
Because you are right, every year, 13,000 to 15,000 individuals come out of Texas Department of Criminal Justice and they come back to Houston, Harris County. Okay? About the same or similar number goes back to Dallas County. That's every year. Because every year we let out about 17,000 folks from TDCJ, and they return back to the communities from which they live. No question about that. We do need to have a much more effective, what we call reintegration program, because when they're coming out, and they are coming back to the Houston, Harris County area, they have two major issues, housing and employment.
Right.
The city of Houston does have it like that, a reentry program. It's very limited because of limited resources. But one of the things that I was able to do in this legislative session that just ended, I'm vice chair of appropriations, been on the appropriations committee for 21 years, is that there are $2 million set aside in the budget, $1 million in grant funding for Dallas, and another $1 million set aside for Houston for re-entry, where TDCJ will provide a $1 million grant to the city of Houston to establish a meaningful reintegration program to work with faith-based, community-based, the private sector, in setting up an effective reintegration program in getting these people back on track. Okay, it helps them, but it also helps communities that they're going to. So that's one, and we can design that, and the money is in the budget for it, and it's on its way. Okay, so that's on that end. With respect to the dumping issue, problem I didn't know of these. You know, problem up outside. Now, I will say this to you. I will not understand it. I don't want to understand it. And I'm not going to give them an excuse to dump it. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. It's right in the community. Some cases it's coming from the outside coming in.
That's right.
Okay?
That's
So
right.
it's not all coming from within. Some cases coming from the outside come within. But I do think you have to set certain standards.
Right.
And I don't think you have to, you can compromise those standards. And that is, people are entitled to live in clean communities, free from trash and debris. Number one. I mean, they are entitled to it, and we need to respect it. We do need more cameras going up.
That's right.
We gotta catch these folks. Okay, that will have to be a deterrent, so we do need that to take place. But there are some things that just make no sense. But the more they drop, you gotta pick up. They drop, you gotta pick up. Because if you don't pick it up, then it's almost saying it's okay. Just like we're talking, and I don't want to put our children in the same category. You got the children on one end, you got adults who are acting like kids on the other end. Okay? And so when people are dumping their trash, okay, on other people's property or on the side of the road in their communities, I don't have any love for you. Okay? I'm not gonna give you an excuse. Because it takes a little bit more effort to go someplace else, to a dump yard or someplace, and get rid of it. And many times they're dumping because they may be doing some sort of job, and so it's just an easy way to come and dump it on the side of the road. So we have to tackle that. We need more cameras out there. We need to say no, 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 no. And then when they dump it, and what I encourage people, when you see trash, report it. Report it to the city. I know they may not respond. Limited resources, but I tell you, if give me the opportunity to be your mayor, that has to be addressed. If you provide, and lastly on this, and this too, I got just basic home values, home values. You don't have to live in a home that's $1 million. You don't have to live in River Oaks. You don't have to be in Tanglewood. You don't have to have a mansion. But whatever you have, you can keep it clean. I don't care if it's just 200 square feet. I don't care. One thing my mom did in the 2-bedroom home, she had a vacuum cleaner, she had a broom. Okay? And then even the porch, she got that water hose, watered down that porch, kept that porch clean. Whatever you, Sky, whatever, Miss Moses, the general is here. Whatever. I told y'all she just made it in from Morocco. This is Miss Mosley, the one Sergeant General.
Mosley met with the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development yesterday, didn't you, Miss Mosley?
Yes, I did. I'll be up in a few minutes.
Let me stop. Look, this is a good friend. Now you're talking about a champion for the 18th Congressional District at all levels. I know she was in D.C. yesterday. I know they had a big battle on trade. I know it was huge. Labor and then one side. I'm not going to repeat all of that. But I appreciate her. When you call on her, she comes. And when I talk about working in partnerships in tandem, we're going to have to work with people like the Congresswoman. I think whoever's going to be man, I hope that's the case. You have to establish and recognize relationships.
That's right.
Utilize them, give people the proper respect that they do, and understand that if we work together and on the same page, then we can make some things happen. And then last on a personal note, and I'm gonna let her finish it because I got, if you can, because I got to run to the
But
stuff.
I'm gonna say it while you're here for a second.
Right.
We're both running in the same direction.
But this is a person, on a personal note, when I needed some things done for my mom and for my own family, and I couldn't get things done, I couldn't, you get so caught up in yourself, you can't make anything happen. I called on Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and I know she was busy, and just a couple of phone calls. Just a couple of phone calls, and I tell you, if they didn't move things because of her response. So even though my mom is not here, I would tell you her life was extended. Her life was extended because of her direct personal intervention. And if nothing else, there's nothing she can do or ever say that can cause me not to be forever indebted and just appreciative of what she did. She did it from her heart, and I appreciate that. It's the small things for some, but for many others, it's the large things that make us profound. So.
you. I know you're out on the campaign trail. I see a lot of my good friends here with Edna, and I see, if I talk on names, I'll get in trouble here. I just want to acknowledge Linda Brown, who keeps me where I'm going, to make sure that you're going where you're going, and I'm so glad that you got her. All the other Sue here, and all this team that is here. Oh, Grant, you'll get I'll get a chance to holler at you before the weekend is over. The whole team there. But let me just say this. He said this, and I'm warmed by his comments that I love people and I want to do for people. But we've known each other for a very long time. Let me just tell you what I'm trying to say. We want a mayor that listens to the Houston firefighters. The vote yesterday was not about labor. Not about being pressured by labor. I was in the closet with myself. The White House was calling. I love them. It was about making sure that working people have a voice. This thing is not dead. We just gave it a moment that we can get to the table and raise the voice. Is the trade bill going to create jobs for the Acres Home communities? You understand what we're saying? Is it going to get some jobs instead of gas? Is it going to get some jobs? The mayor is going to be representing the whole city. I want the mayor to be a person that we can call up and say, I think there's a big grant that you can get. Just get me a letter saying you want the grant. Now they answer the phone. We need $4 on the table because we do not engage in that holistic approach. I want a mayor that cares about prostitution on somebody's front door. I want a mayor that cares about senior housing, not just because Ms. Mosey is talking about it, but because we've determined that the numbers of senior housing units are down, and seniors need housing. That's what Sylvester Turner is all about. He's got his ear to the ground. He has constantly, as a member of the state legislature and appropriations committee, done the little things that make the quality of life better. Yes, I want a mayor that I can call up on the phone and get on the phone. Not to hammer, not to make them always go my way. We may have a disagreement, but we will not be disagreeable. The most time, 99% will be working to make this city energized for all people. I will fight to the end. Let me just say this in conclusion. Don't listen to polls. Don't listen to gossip. Don't listen to who said what. How many people got this many people? How many people got that many people? What we are listening to is our values and our message. Do you care about who the next mayor of the city of Houston is? Let me see you say something. With bad news, so that when this candidate is on his last cup of juice, you're going to come at 9 o'clock at night and talk about who said what said. Rather than saying, man, I got something for you, let me get you next week to tell you, I'll talk to Grant, I'll talk to somebody else, and give him the final pat on the back so he can finish the last event. That is how we're going to do it. I want to hear about polls, because they go up and they go down. I want to hear about grassroots numbers, how many doors you've knocked, how many calls we've made, and I know we're in a new technology, but also he's got to touch people. And I've got to get a hold of him and say, you didn't get these 10 people, and I got to make sure he gets them, because you're touching them before we get to the wires in September and October. But we have to be his armor on the battlefield to be able to have a mayor that we know can win. This is the last sentence that just comes. Jacksonville had a mayor for 4 years. Somebody that had a lot of prominence. I think he even helped him send some money over there. He didn't make it on the second go-round. This is the first go-round. But the point is that he happened to be a minority mayor, African-American in this instance, and well equipped. In fact, he was doing pension reform, might not have been like yours, wouldn't vote on it before the election, but voted on it almost 14-0 after. The point is, let's not take his talent, genius, energy for granted. We've got to be out there, and my commitment is that between my granny babies that I've got, that I just left the house, stayed up all night with them. I came home last night, went to her house, and we stayed up all night with 2 twins. And I'm still standing, nursing and feeding and changing, and I think she liked to say, Mom, can you change the diaper? Because I changed it 10 times last night on 2 babies. Like this. All right. But I will be doing this between that, serving you in Washington. I am not going to support Sylvester Turner, and he does not win. How about you?
I'm going to give the final note to Ms. Moses, but I am going to have to leave. I do want to acknowledge Takasha Francis. This is one of my law students. You know. An excellent lawyer now, was a part of the whole debate team at TSU. I mean, just outstanding, terrific. I told her, you know, we just got to have a just sharp. This is what the face of Houston is going to be. And so thank you for being here. Cassandra and I went to school together all the way up. I know she just lost her mom, and so my prayers are with you. And again, I just want to say, it really is about family, and just remembering how you got to where you are today. I didn't get here by myself. And then Alvin Smith, where's Brother White with the super neighborhood? Brother White, firefighter right there. Thank you for being here. And now, Ms. Moses, I'm going to let you wrap it up. But Ms. Moses, I'm just going to hit the hour.
That's perfect, okay. I need to say one thing while the representative is here and can hear me. Let me tell you all that we are not just on a race.
Yeah.
We are out there working for the benefit of ourselves. If you don't get up, stand up and stay up. You can't require nobody else to do anything to help you that you're not helping to do for yourself. This man was Aquitone born, Aquitone grown, now he's Aquitone gone. Let me tell you something, and I'm going to let him go. You always know what you got, but you don't know what you get. You can call me all those names, but I am one of God's children that are working in the vineyard. I want to hear him say, well done. I want to let you all know that today, number one,
Add Sylvester Turner, #Turner 2015.